So we got some fun stuff tonight. Minnesota loses 23-10. Green Bay won the NFC North. Good job for them, I guess. You know, they were definitely the better team tonight. So I'm not even going to try arguing that. But into the numbers, they go to 12-3. Minnesota falls to 10-5. Rodgers didn't have the best of nights, I wouldn't say. 26 of 40, 216, 5.4 yards per attempt, no scores, one interception, was sacked three times, had a quarterback rating of 68.3, and he lost 17 yards on those sacks. So Minnesota only gets docked with allowing 199 yards of passing tonight. And then we enter the problem. Well, the main one anyway. Well, one of them. Aaron Jones, 23 carries for 154 yards, 6.7 yards per carry, two scores, and a long of 56. Jamal Williams, 6 for 33, 5.5 average, didn't score. Rodgers, he gets 3 carries because of the kneel downs, but for negative 3 yards. So in total, 32 carries, 184 yards, 5.8 yards per carry, and 2 scores. Receiving, it was really just Devontae Adams. He caught 13 of 16 targets for 116 yards and 8.9 average. Allen Lazard was our second leading receiver with 5 catches on 9 targets for 45 yards. And then it goes to Jamal Williams, which is 2 for 2 for 19. Then Jimmy Graham, 1 for 1 for 16. And then a lot of, for the most part, irrelevance. They were 5 of 14 on third down. That's 36%. 1 of 3 in the red zone, which is 33%. -2 in the turnover margin. 2 for 20 on the penalties. And held the ball for an astonishing 37 minutes and 32 seconds. Minnesota, we got some problems over here. Cousins, 16 of 31 for 122, 3.9 average yards per attempt, 1 score, 1 interception, was sacked 5 times for a loss of 40 yards, had a quarterback rating of 58.8, and Diggs did attempt to throw, missed Cousins, but together it's 16 of 32 for 82 yards because of the sacks, 3.8 average yards per attempt, 1 score, 1 pick, the 5 sacks, and then a combined quarterback rating of 57.0. Carrying the ball, Mike Boone led them with 11 for 28, 2.5 yards a carry with a long of 7. Amir Abdullah, 4 for 27, 6.8 a carry with a long of 14. Thielen, 1 for 2, and a total of 16 carries for 57 yards and 3.6 yards per attempt. Yeesh. And then receiving, Diggs led them 3 for 5 for 57 yards and a score, averaging 19 yards a catch. Abdullah didn't lead them. He was their second leading receiver, 6 of 7 targets for 31. CJ Ham is your third leading receiver in this game. 2 for 4 for 12. Rudolph, 1 for 2 for 7. Olbisi, 1 for 2 for 6. Mike Boone, 1 for 1 for 5. Irv Smith, 2 for 3 for 4. Cousins had 1 target. Thielen was an 0 for today. He didn't catch a single one of his 4 targets. And Treadwell didn't catch his only target, but it was kind of important in the sense that he was able to rip it out and not have it be an interception. So, in a way, that's kind of a good incomplete pass. They were 4 of 15 on third down. That's 27%. 0 of 2 on fourth down. 0 of 1 in the red zone. But they were +2 in the turnover margin. 3 for 30 in penalties and held the ball for only 22 minutes and 28 seconds. So, good stuff. Well, I guess not good stuff. Offense, nothing worked. Absolutely nothing worked. It felt like Kansas City of the first half of that game and the first half of the Denver game, just a whole half of it. Well, I mean a whole 2 halves of it, where they were not being who they were. It felt like the whole thing about this offense is, oh no, we're West Coast. We're going to be running all these zone runs. We're going to be doing a whole lot of play action boots. They didn't really attempt many play actions. They got a little better in the second half, but it wasn't like they were really doing it. Like, it feels like they are very good at what they're built at to do. However, they are not very good at other things. So you need to continue to do it. Otherwise, it's not going to look right, like it didn't tonight, like it didn't in Kansas City for the first half, like it didn't against Denver for the first half. That's just how it is. And when you aren't doing those things, this is what happens. You get a very anemic offense. And I will not say Kirk played well because he played horribly, but I will ask is where was the help? It felt like there was no blocking. They couldn't block Zadarius Smith to save their life, and I was surprised they weren't trying to put two bodies on him, and they kept going empty, and when they didn't go empty, they would put CJ Ham in the back, but he wasn't in there to block. He would immediately flare out as an outlet, but it doesn't matter because he's CJ Ham. I would like to see some more Irv Smith involved in that kind of role if he's just not even going to attempt to be a blocking running back when you were struggling in pass protection and you weren't even trying to chip Zadarius Smith. So I don't know what their plan was. I didn't think they thought they could. Like, obviously, they thought they could block him one-on-one. They clearly could not. And it was a mess all around. And just for balance things tonight, 68.5% of the plays they called tonight were passing plays, and it was a one possession most of the game. They had 7 first downs. 7, let that sink in. This cannot happen again. This was horrible. It was pathetic, and it was really, really sad on offense. Like, you cannot do this again against anybody. I don't care if you end up going against New England somehow, or if like, I don't care who it's against. You cannot look like this. This was really bad. Defensively, kind of similar to last week, where I think first and foremost, Kendricks and Barr, where are the injuries at? We need to get that out of the way first. That's a priority coming into the next, well, I guess, couple of games, because they did lock up a playoff spot in virtue of the Rams losing. They did a pretty good end result job on the Green Bay passing game. They did get 3 turnovers, and they only allowed 199 yards passing. But, however, I was really surprised. I was kind of agreeing with Booger McFarland. I was kind of wondering, I thought it was kind of weird, but why weren't they trying to press up on Devontae Adams? It kind of felt like they were so afraid of the deep ball, they put their corner 10 yards back, and then they put the safety even further, making sure they never got a deep ball. But if you're going to put your safety that far back, this is an offense that does a lot of RPOs and a lot of quick screens, so they're just going to get 8-9 yards at will almost if you're going to do that. And kind of a miracle they only allowed 199 yards passing while playing it this way. That really surprised me. And just the rush defense was pathetic. 37 minutes and 32 seconds time of possession, also a thing that cannot happen. One thing I would like to mention with the special teams, good job, Britton Colquitt. He was like the one bright spot today, it felt like. Outside of those turnovers, it was kind of like Britton Colquitt did a really nice job punting tonight, which when you have to congratulate the punter on doing so well, you know things went wrong. But overall, this was kind of sad, just the game as a whole, and it falls right in line with all the other primetime losses that we have witnessed from this football team, which is dominated at the line of scrimmage. They barely attempted to run the ball. I guess it's because Dalvin Cook wasn't there, but just because Dalvin Cook isn't in your lineup, that doesn't mean you forget to run the ball. And like I said, it was mostly a one-possession game throughout, and they couldn't stop the run. That was another thing. So I will actually link a video in the description that I made earlier today, just about the previous 8 games that we've had with Kirk Cousins in the primetime window. And it paints a very similar story. And you will see of how insanely close this actually kind of comes to, at least on the defensive side of things, and how it just goes with the common trend that it has taken. The offense was a bit of an anomaly, but at least in terms of the passing. But that's really it. Everything else was kind of status quo for all of this, and I think we do need to start questioning this defense when it comes to these primetime things and not just the offense. And I'm going to close this out with something some people might not agree with. Just as for next week, Minnesota is officially locked into the 6th seed. You cannot get better, and obviously you can't get worse because they locked up a playoff spot. But they cannot do any better than the 6th seed. So, with as many injuries as they have, with Barr and Kendricks coming down tonight, Dalvin Cook's already hurt, Alexander Madison's already hurt. Do you really want to risk more injuries? Like, are we going to be potentially sitting people? Not that they've earned it after this performance by any stretch, but at a certain point, you probably do need to worry about, like, well, we should at least be healthy going into whatever game it is, whether we have to go back to Green Bay or going into, New Orleans or whatever it may be. You can't really afford another injury. So, like, if you had an offensive lineman go down, I know some might think, oh, after tonight, that might not be the worst thing. But I will have you know that's a chemistry thing. You can't just replace an offensive lineman after they've played the entire season together. And, well, I guess you can. Just there's really no guarantee that could even go any better or worse. And I think they do probably have to consider it. I don't know if they do it, but it's something you do have to consider. Your comment down below on how this went. Liking, subscribing always helps. And until next time, I bid you all adieu.